Okay. We on? Are we on? It takes a minute. Okay. Oh, there we are. We're finally on. Okay. Thank you so much for coming. I'm going to call this meeting of the Curriculum Subcommittee to order. I haven't done, my counterpart, Chairman Hilton, always does this, but I'm going to do it today. Who in our audience are teachers? Anybody, any teachers here? Yay. Thank you for being here. Any students today? I don't see anybody that looks immediately young. But thank you so much for coming and showing interest in our legislative process. Representative Howard, would you open us up in prayer? What are you, 7?
Let us pray together. God, we're grateful today for another day, and we do thank you for giving us this opportunity to serve you and your people. Pray now that you will give us wisdom in our decision making and bless those who have gathered. Thank you for our leadership and your continued blessings. It's in Christ's name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you so much. Let's see. Going by our agenda, we've got, I don't think Senator Dixon is here unless he's hiding behind the big column that I can't see through. So we will go ahead and skip down to SB 93. Senator Kemp, I know I have seen you in here. You will come up and come onto the podium. And if you would, once you get situated and I get you turned on, your mic turned on, would you give us your LC number?
Yes, good afternoon, Madam Chairwoman, committee members. I am reading from LC 492323S.
Very good. That's what we have.
All
Thank
right.
you. And you can go ahead whenever you're ready.
All right. Well, thank y'all for having me. I'm very excited to be here. This is my first time as a senator being in the House presenting my bill. So thank y'all so much for having me. And this is a really important bill. As Chairwoman knows, when I walked over into the State of the State and Chairwoman Ballard stopped me and said, hey, we got to work together to get rid of this 3Qing, I was super excited about that because as a former teacher and principal, I've seen firsthand some of the failures that occurred in how we prepare students how to read. And since my quest when I was elected, learning more about what has taken place here in the state and the great work that Representative Ballard and Chairman Hickman and Chairman Irwin have done as it relates to literacy, I can't be more excited to bring this bill. So Senate Bill 93 essentially aims to get rid of 3Qing, which has been found to be a very ineffective way of preparing students how to read. And it strengthens our Early Literacy Act of 2023. As we all know, 70% of our kids in 4th grade are not reading on grade level, 69% in 8th grade are not reading on grade level. And so we just need to make sure that we are keeping the right tools in the toolkit for teachers to prepare our students how to read. And 3Qing is not aligned with the science of reading. So I'll walk you through the bill very briefly. Section 1 just defines 3Qing. And then Section 2 is where we ensure that we are not deploying this system in our classrooms, with one exception to allow for nonverbal students. And this was as a result of speaking with Chairman Hickman and working with him on the Senate side. And then Section 3 is critically important, as this is ensuring that our teacher prep programs are aligned as well, to make sure that we are not just doing this at the K-12 level, but making sure that our teachers are being prepared properly and not being taught to use this system when teaching students how to read. And so very simply, that's the bill, and I'd be happy to answer any questions from the committee.
Chairman Hilton.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And this may be a question for my seatmate here or the author. Yeah. We had a fantastic literacy bill in House Bill 307 that I think addressed a portion of what you're trying to do here. Can you enlighten me how kind of the two bills comport with one another? And where does House Bill 307 stand in the Senate?
That's a good question. We're going to be seeing your seatmate tomorrow in the Senate Education
That's good
Committee.
to hear.
Yeah.
You got that answer right. All right.
So sections 1 and 2 align with hers, and then section 3 is what is different. And that is something that I worked with the Professional Standards Commission on this piece to make sure that we got it right as it relates to the work that they do to ensure that teacher prep programs are in line with what we're trying to do with the Early Literacy Act. This question, sorry.
Oh, sorry.
Thank you. This may be a question now for Ledge Council.
Yeah.
If we pass 2 bills with the same language,
Great question.
which takes
Every effort would be made to reconcile the language, but if there's any inconsistency, it would effectively be the last bill signed, or which one ever becomes effective last would supersede the language of whatever is approved before it. So if there are any language discrepancies between the 2 bills, then, yeah, whatever is signed last. But anything that is different would survive.
learn something new every day. Thank you.
I know, right? Well, I'm always learning, so.
Number 17, is that you, Chairman?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Ms. Chairwoman. Senator, thank you for this bill. We have 2 main goals in education. One is safety, 2 is literacy.
Okay.
So thank you for your expertise and your profession at this bill. I want to look specifically at Section 3 of the bill, if we could. Did you involve the PSC as you were adopting this, or have communication with them?
I did, and I'm very glad to see Jody here so he can keep me honest. We worked closely with them to make sure that this is in line with what they are currently doing, and not to be something that's super onerous on what they're trying to, they would then have to do once this is passed.
Great. That's it. And a follow-up question, Madam Chair.
Absolutely.
Follow-up question to you. We had debate on HB 307 about 3Qing and whether it was allowed at all or not, or focused on. In your bill, what you see in this, would 3Qing be eliminated completely or allowed, used in a special circumstance?
So it still allows it for comprehension. One of the things from speaking with educators, I've learned that there is a misunderstanding of the differentiation between comprehension and teaching kids to actually read. So these methods can be used to build background knowledge and comprehension, but not to be used as a primary source to teach kids how to read, which we should be doing decoding in order to teach kids to actually read as a practice.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you. And I will say that you and I have sat down and talked about this, and our goals are aligned. And I do like the Section 3, because that is something that was not included in 307. I'll hold my question until, let's see, Representative Howard, you're 7, okay.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chairman, and thank you, Senator, for the bill.
Yes, sir.
There's a couple of simple questions. Is this mandated, will this be mandated to the school systems? And when it comes to implementation, will funding follow? Will there be funding following the implementation?
So yes, it is mandated, and there is no need for funding, because this is just saying that this will not be counted as the 8 high-quality materials that they are already implementing. So they're already implementing the science of reading and House Bill 537. So this is just saying this will not be considered as part of that.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Okay, thank you. If I can, just look at Section 2
Yep.
just for a second, because this is kind of one of the places where our bills differ, and
Yeah.
I do want to make sure that we are all in alignment, because we've certainly talked a lot, and
Yes.
we know that our goals are in alignment in House and Senate, and in a bipartisan fashion.
It is.
So one of my concerns, this has kind of caught my eye, parents can always, with the IEP team, make decisions regarding the strategies and the curriculum used, and that kind of is the overarching thing that we do. But I just sort of am concerned about enshrining in code a debunked strategy. And I'm wondering if we can soften up that language maybe a little bit and not, we certainly don't want our kids with special needs when we should be doubling down on science of reading for those kids. Allow people to maybe fall back onto that easy crutch of 3Qing because we know that it does not serve our kids well. So we might want to take a look at that section. And we can maybe do that, maybe before fall.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm open to that. That language, which I know you're speaking about, except expressly expressed, that language, I'm perfectly fine with removing that. That is as a result of conversations in the Senate Education Committee and the concern with students that may be nonverbal. They rely on visual cues and things like that. But yes, I'm in 100% agreement with you. Yeah.
So we can talk about that offline maybe a little bit before fall.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Chairman Hilton.
Madam Chair, at the appropriate time, I'd like to.
Okay. Well, we have one person to speak to the bill. Chairman Hickman, do you want?
No.
Okay.
I was going where.
Okay. Michael O'Sullivan. I hate this column. I can't see who's in the room.
I love the bill. I help you.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, I think that that you are the only one on our sheet. So we have a motion on this bill. Do you pass? Do we have a second? Any further discussion? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And we are voting on LC 492323S. Let's just make that clear. Any opposed? Okay, so you pass on to full committee.
Thank you. All right, appreciate you all. Have a good one.
And you and I can talk about Section 2. Okay, I think I saw Senator Dixon walk in. There you are. Okay, you can come up and give us your LC number as soon as you get situated up there. Okay, we're ready for you.
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman, for allowing me to present SB 63, working off of LC 610062.
That.
So this LC that you passed, when it comes over, it changes. So it could be the same bill, and it's just.
Okay.
The FA would indicate there was a floor amendment.
Yes, we
Okay.
did. Yeah, that was my
Okay,
mistake.
so
We
there's
did
a
have a
floor
floor amendment.
So we all have SB 63FA. Okay. Does everybody sitting up here have SB 63FA? Okay, we're good to go then. Okay.
Yes, this is
Okay.
correct. This is what we added on the floor. Thank you very
Okay,
much.
sounds great. Okay, go ahead.
My apologies.
That's okay.
Essentially, where this legislation, where it derived from, ended up being, goodness, probably close to a dozen homeschool parents, moms, that reached out to me. It started really probably 2 years ago with an issue in my home county in Gwinnett, where they weren't allowed to go to the residency school to take the advanced placement testing. Some years the county wouldn't provide it at all because they're not required to for homeschoolers. But in some years they would, and they would have just one location, that could be on the opposite end of the county, where parents were having to drive, and in Gwinnett County traffic could be upwards of an hour to the location, and they would also have to pay a fee. And I understand in some schools and jurisdictions that they do require the students to pay a fee. This would not change that in this bill. If the school system required the fee, then homeschoolers would have to pay that. Just want to clarify that up front. If it was already provided for, then the homeschoolers would not have to pay that fee. But moving forward from that, as we introduced this legislation, started hearing from parents from across the state. And one mother, she actually came to the Capitol a couple weeks ago, or maybe last week, that she lived in Albany and had to drive up to Columbus to take the test, and had to incur a hotel expense plus pay a fee and take off, from work. And simply put, in my opinion, these families are paying their taxes. Of course, they're not utilizing the school system, but I think that with them having to register for the test, it would make the school system known that the kids would be coming. They would have information on the child, and they could accommodate for those homeschoolers, in which, it is a small amount of folks, but simply what the bill does would allow homeschoolers to go to their residency school and take that advanced placement testing.
Thank you. And we do have questions. Representative Carter.
Thank you, Chairlady. Hello, Chairman. So my question is, because this is reading that, if I read it correctly and understand, you want the home study students' fees to be waived?
Only if their residency school doesn't charge the enrolled students. If they charge the enrolled students a fee, then the homeschoolers would have to pay that same fee.
May I ask another question? So currently, where do they take these exams?
Typically, when they're allowed to take them, the school system would provide a location for them to go. It wouldn't necessarily be at their residency school, and sometimes it's a pretty far drive.
You used the word "if they're allowed." Help me understand that.
If they're allowed.
You said if they're allowed to take it.
Yeah, I mean, well, I guess that's probably a poor choice
Okay.
of words, but if the school system offers the test, the school system currently not required to offer that to homeschoolers.
Okay, so one more question, because I hear what you're saying. So basically, is the objective for the parents who are homeschooling to have a closer locale for their students to take the test? Is that the overall objective?
Yes.
So
Yeah, for them to take
if
the
it's
school.
close to home, let them come to the location closer to home versus finding one that's available to a home student.
That's correct. Yeah, it would be their
Okay.
residency school if
Okay.
they chose to attend that school.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's see. Representative Rice, I think you were next. Yes.
Thank you, Senator Dixon, for this bill. As a former homeschool mom, very much advocate on school choice and their abilities to be able to do that. Of course, I'm from Columbus, and so when I did homeschool my children, I did take them up to the university there. Didn't impact me hugely, but to your point, I've had many constituents in our more rural areas that had to come incur the expenses of the hotel fees, et cetera. I believe that this is a great bill. I very much support this. But I guess the concerns that would be attached is while we're moving on school safety, having kids that aren't normally in the school come in. And my thoughts on that are, this bill would still allow local counties to determine how they would execute those tests and the testing, meaning that if a homeschooling group or student came in, maybe they were in a different section of the school and they come in and they're checked in a different way than a student attending school that day. Just would like your thoughts on that and just assurance, because I think that's might be some concerns, and just want to make sure we get that.
Yeah, no, thank you, and great question. Yes, it would allow, the student would have to register so the school would know they were coming or attending the testing. As far as the arrangement and where it's located, yes, that would be up to the local school. They would have control over that.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am, thank you.
Number 9, Representative Lupton, is that you?
It is me. Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you so much. I had no idea that this was an issue for homeschool students, so thank you for the education. My son recently, he's a senior in high school, public school, Chamblee High School, and he recently took the SAT. And in DeKalb County, or at least in our system, they will pay for one test. The school system will pay for one test for a senior. If you take it subsequent times, then you're paying it. And it was at a private school, actually, on a Saturday. And as far as safety is concerned, I can understand why people might be a little hesitant, but I mean, they can take a pencil into the test, and that is it. There's no bags, there's no nothing. So I would just add that to say that, to assuage any queasiness about that if there is. But thank you so much for the bill.
Thank you.
Okay, I don't see any other questions. We have a number of people to speak to the bill. So for those of you, when I call you up to speak, please be mindful that we only have this room for a certain amount of time. So please be brief in your remarks, say what you need to say, but be mindful of the time. First up is Claire Buck.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I was actually signing up for 93 in support of, so Madam Chair, I will save my comments for your bill tomorrow morning.
Okay, sorry, it said 63. I was confused. Okay. Mary Beth Morris.
Hi there. My name is Mary Beth Morris, and I am with Georgia Home Education Association. We are the statewide support organization for homeschoolers here in Georgia. And this has been an issue that kind of goes back, and it's off and on, and it waxes and wanes in different pockets of the state, and actually extends beyond our state as well. So, and I think to say allow, to your question, whether we're allowed to take the exams, that's part of the issue. This is not an exam. These types of exams are not exams that we have the ability to offer ourselves or through any other avenue. And so we have the public schools and private schools. They basically have to be given in brick and mortar. And so we're just looking really for fair treatment for homeschool students, because with so many things that the schools are, taking care of these days in our public schools, it's just this kind of, I think the request is looked at annually and kind of decided up or down on a school-by-school basis. And so it's always changing, and it's really difficult for homeschool families who are, you have to sign up months in advance for these tests. Anyway, it gets complicated. So we're just really looking for equal access to be able to take the test. We're not after anything other than the ability to take the test. And we're talking about just a subset of homeschoolers, really. These are high-achieving, college-bound students who would be taking these tests. And those are the students, we want to be able to support in their dreams and their goals. And I just wanted to mention, I mentioned that there are other states. Georgia would not be the first state to consider this type of legislation. There's actually 4 other states that have passed statutes like this. 2 of them are our bordering neighbors of Tennessee and North Carolina. And the other states are Texas and Virginia, who have had statutes in place for quite some time. And so, just again, we are just asking for fair treatment. So thank you very much, and we hope you'll support the bill.
Thank you. Marilyn Reynolds.
Thank you, Chairwoman and the subcommittee, for listening. I'm here to ask for your support of SB 63. My name is Marilyn Reynolds. My husband, Carlisle, and I, we've been Georgia residents for 20 years, and we have 2 daughters who have been born in Georgia and bred, so they're native Georgians, and I have been homeschooling them for the last 8 years. And what I'm asking is that there are 2 exams, 2 types, PSAT, which is a National Merit Scholarship Qualifying Test. And it's given to all students across the United States, and those who excel in that exam qualify for scholarships that are very substantial, up to $20,000 to $40,000 toward the college education. The second is the AP test, which are advanced placement tests, and you take college level courses, and if you take the test and score high, the colleges that you apply nationwide will give you credit toward those courses, which will also save you money. Now, my children, they do extracurricular activities in our local schools at Gwinnett County. However, Gwinnett County this year has not allowed homeschooled students to take those PSAT or AP exams in their local schools. Now, there's no other place that we could take these exams. It has to be a brick and mortar schools. So I asked that our students be able to take these exams so that they may go to good colleges and are financially rewarded for the excellence that they put in towards schoolwork. You had a question regarding security and cost. My daughters, they participate in extracurricular activities currently at the local schools, and that's not an issue. And the SAT tests are currently administered at the local schools, and that's no problem at all. It's the PSAT and the AP exams. Now, in terms of the cost, whatever the College Board or the school requires to pay for these exams, our homeschooling families are willing to pay as long as it's equals access and the payment amount is the same. We're not asking for any special privileges. What we're asking is equal access. As my husband and I, we have been paying Georgia's taxes for the last 20 years, and we support the school system, and I believe our tax money has gone towards the brick and mortar schools and the operation of the school. So we just ask for access. And as you had pointed out, if it needs to be, they need to be in a separate room or what other accommodation, we're willing to accommodate. We just want our kids to be able to take those exams, which are only offered at the local schools. So I urge you to vote for the Senate Bill 63, and I would greatly appreciate your support, and my kids too. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Reynolds. Michelle Shan? And I'm going to say the best thing about y'all signing up on this sheet is everybody wrote legibly, and I can read everybody's names. Like, y'all don't know what a big deal that is.
Okay, it's actually Michelle Shaw, but it's my problem, my fault. But I am a home educating mom. My children are now all adults, but I also run several homeschool organizations, and one of them is the Northeast Independent Preparatory Academy, and we are a unicorn. We actually got approval from the College Board to administer the PSAT. Now, I'm saying that because I know what it takes to have these kids take the test, and it's not a big deal for the schools to do this. We cannot possibly handle the people within the state. But one thing that we were able to see was the desperation that people have as far as finding a place. So we had a mom call from the border of Georgia and Florida, and she had to travel 4 hours to come and take the test with us because she couldn't find any place around where she was. We cannot administer the AP exams, so I also run another organization called Eastside Academic Studies, and that's middle high school classes for homeschoolers, and we teach AP classes, but a number of our students cannot take the AP exam anywhere because Gwinnett completely shut down, and then there are other schools here and there that were offering it, but it was hard to get our kids into those schools. So it definitely is a problem. It would definitely help a lot if we were it would help immensely if we were able to have our kids take it within their local public school systems. And we will still be there to help in any way that we can, but there's no way that we can meet the needs, and people shouldn't have to travel 4 hours to come to us to take the exam. So, thank you.
Thank you so much. John Morris.
I will waive my time.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Amy Sanchez?
Good afternoon, and Thank you for allowing us to speak today. My name is Amy Sanchez. I am a homeschooling mom of 6 kids that range in age from 4 to 17. And my oldest child is a high school a high school junior this year. And she wished to be considered for the National Merit Scholarship. In order to do so, she needed to take the PSAT this past October. I looked on the College Board's website, and it instructs homeschool parents to contact their locally registered school and sign up through your local school for this test. However, my daughter was not allowed to sign up and register for that test at our school there locally in Gwinnett County. Thankfully, we were able to test through Michelle Shaw's program with NIPA, and my daughter was able to test there in October and has passed the first level to qualify for that scholarship. We'll see if she continues to do well in the process. And unfortunately, though, there are lots of other parents that I've talked with that just simply have not been able to find the testing. They're having to travel long distances, as has been said, or they're just not able to find a school that will allow their students to test. And if we had more time, I could give you names, I could give you counties and places that people are contacting us and letting us know that their students are not being allowed access to these tests. So it is a problem in the homeschool community. And we really feel that this lack of testing access is causing, especially this year's juniors and seniors, to miss out on valuable scholarships, to miss out on possible college credit, and it just simply put is unacceptable that they're having to struggle this way and be basically discriminated against from being able to take these tests. So we're here today again seeking just equal access to these tests for all students. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much. Chairman Rice.
My question is, sorry, Senator Dixon, I thought of one more after you stepped away, but reading through this, it was mentioned during our, with one of the people that spoke on the bill, and I've had several emails that have included AP testing, but unless I'm missing something, this bill does not include AP, and I know that's much more extensive as far as the scheduling in schools. So I just want to be very transparent, with, my constituents.
Line 16.
It is 16?
It's just not.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. That's what I did not see. I was looking at the list of the exams, at the alphabet soup there. I did want to make sure that I did answer those concerns because, making sure that we cover all the bases. So thank you. I apologize. I missed that.
No, not at all. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Representative Carter.
Thank you. I'm so glad you walked back up here because their testimonies got a few more questions for me. So I guess, it's Gwinnett County year. It's the year of Gwinnett County at the Capitol because we keep hearing Gwinnett County.
No comment.
I'm just like, wow, they would annex me or put me in Gwinnett. So it's like, okay, we're going to have fun. So because Gwinnett has come up, and I hate to say assume, but I'm going to assume that somebody made a decision. I don't know if it was a financial decision or how they come up with deciding what they can cover. So within this language, there is number one, are we tying the hands of local school districts if there is a legitimate reason? I don't know if it's whether there's capacity or if it's financial. How do we address that, one? And then two, I think one of my colleagues over here said that sometimes the school covers the cost for one student. So in saying that, are we saying that if it's a mandate for the local school to allow homeschool students to take the exam, then does that now obligate the local school district to cover their first exam?
Yeah, great questions. On the last one, yeah, simply what it would state would be if, their local school, their residency school, if they charged a fee to their residency, their students that are enrolled, I guess enrolled students, better word, if they charged a fee to those students, then yes, the homeschool students would have to pay that same fee. If those students are not charged a fee, then the homeschool students would not be charged a fee. because one way to look at it, is, these students, they would be taking the test at their residency school if they had chose to go to their school. So, as far as accommodations, things of that nature, they would be able to make those accommodations, because the student would still have to register for the test. So as they set up the classroom or whatever room they decide to put it in, I know the desks have to be so far apart and everything, there's a lot of logistics, but that would give them the opportunity to do that. That was one of the concerns from local districts, and then, but I kind of rebutted that, with the registration. And then I would say the other is, the financial burden on them having to take the test. And I would simply argue that these homeschool parents, they pay their taxes, they pay their local taxes, they pay their state taxes. They just choose to teach their kids at home. So allowing them to take this test, it's a net positive for the local school system still, in my opinion. And then one of the other questions was security. Well, I would state again that they are registered, they are students that could be enrolled in that school system, and they would, the school system would have time to accommodate for those children coming in.
Okay, so by not the security question, but if you don't mind, I want to make sure that I'm real clear, because I'm a numbers person, so I want to make sure. So even though the school district, in some instances, have agreed to pay for the first test, there is a cost. Mm-hmm. So what I'm asking you, does this language now say that if the local school system is taking care of the cost for the public school child that's in that school, you're now saying that they also have to pay for it for a homeschool person?
That's correct.
Because there is a fee.
That's correct.
Because I think and that's why I think I might have a little angst about that. But I somebody has to pay the fee, and you're saying you want the local school system to pay the fee.
Well, but these,
that's
yeah, but these parents are paying their taxes.
Well, we make an assumption because if they're not property owners, they're not paying school taxes. So we're making some assumptions
of the residency
there.
school, some of the kids that are
I don't want to debate with you. I just want to understand it, because when we leave here, somebody's going to ask me why I voted one way or the other, and I want to be able to justify that.
Yeah, I don't understand.
I'm still not clear, and I'm glad that we're in subcommittees that'll give me some time to go and ask some other questions, because I'm not clear why the decision is being made to accept them some years and not other years. I'm just trying to understand if there's some logic behind how that decision is made.
Yeah, it would be, that decision would be made at the local level, at that school system level, as we allow, executive, I guess, governance, or, most local control governance with that local school system. So it would be internal to them on, if they allowed those testing or where that location would be, that would be up to that local school system.
Right. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you. Representative Howard.
Thank you, Madam Chairman, and thank you for this bill. I really thought it was a real simple bill until I heard some of the testimony. It kind of confused me a little bit. Why would a school system not let a homeschool person take the test? It seems like common sense. If they're taking tests on Saturday, and a homeschool person or private school person want to come take the test, what's the pushback from the local school systems that don't want that we've got to do a bill like this?
Yeah, great question. And currently it is up to that local school system. But three reasons that they gave, one being security. But I would argue there that these students could be enrolled in that school system. School system knows about these kids. These kids would have to register for these tests, so the school system would have the information on the child. They would have time to accommodate for the child wherever that testing location is, and then also security measures. When the kids come in, they're only allowed to come in with a pencil. And you're talking about a small amount of students, that would be attending this. It's not a massive amount of kids that are flooding a school. It would be very few. And then the other piece would be financial. That was the other argument, that it was a burden on the school system. Simply, as I stated, these parents are paying their local dollars through property tax if they own a home, and then of course they're paying their state income tax. So they're paying, as the other students are, just not utilizing that school system. So I'd say those dollars are still allocated. That would be my argument on that. And then the other argument was, simply accommodating for the children for that testing area, and I think I covered that under the financial piece. Yes, sir.
Thank you. Representative Adana.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Going back to the financial aspect, do we have an idea of what it could potentially cost if we, I'm talking for Gwinnett, because I'm from Gwinnett, right? What we can estimate what the cost would be for homeschoolers for the year?
Yeah, I do not have those numbers. I'd be happy to, and I think I saw somebody in my peripheral vision that might have an answer if the Madam Chairwoman, if you allow.
Yes, come back up so that you can be on the microphone.
For example, a PSAT test, it's about $18 per child. And you're not going to have a massive amount of homeschoolers, showing up by hundreds. It might be 1 or 2 additional kids on one day of testing per school. And for AP exams, because there are so many subjects, what I know is that you pay per subject, and we're willing to pay. Let's say I want to take AP US History or AP Calculus. You would sign up for that particular course, and whatever the fee is determined by the College Board, we would be happy to pay. And some schools that have been accommodating, the parents would write a check for that specific subject that their child is taking.
Okay. And this probably, you won't know this, but probably in terms of number of homeschoolers in Gwinnett, do we have an idea? Because, again,
it's been said that post-COVID, nationwide, the percentage of homeschooled students in the U.S., it's about between 3 and 5% of the student population.
Okay.
And out of those, I would say the people who actually want to take the exams are going to be the top tier who are college-bound. So it might be just maybe 5 to 10% of those kids who would like to take those exams.
All right. Because, and I'm thinking Gwinnett, we have, 185,000 students, probably about 5% is about 9,000.
And
if it was 3%, it'd be closer to 5. But
okay.
5 to 9,000.
And last October, my daughter, along with Mrs. Sanchez's daughter, took the same PSAT exam with NIPA because we could not get into the Gwinnett County schools. And total, I believe there was about 30 students, cross-county wide, that came to take these exams.
Okay, thanks. Just one more question for
Okay.
Senator Chairman Dixon. So if, my concern again is the financial aspect of it. Is there some funding that we can look at when it comes to, because again, we're pushing the funding on the schools, because there is a fund there, especially taking that first time test, there is a financial aspect to it. Would there be some kind of alternative funding instead of pushing it onto the schools?
Yeah, I would say I'd go back to these parents are paying their taxes. If they own a home, they're paying their property taxes, and then they're also paying their state income taxes as the students that are enrolled. And as the bill's written, if there's a fee that is charged to all the students, then the homeschool students would pay that. If there's no fee, then there would be no fee charged to those homeschool students. And it is a low rate, and there's going to be a low number of those students. And as far as Gwinnett, since we brought them up, their budget's about $3.5 billion. It's gone up. Just the 45% they get from us has gone up by $250 million in 2 years. They're all right, I believe, with homeschool testing.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Representative Lupton.
Oh, thank you, Madam Chair. Just at the appropriate time.
Okay, thank you. Chairman Hilton.
Well, I was going to say at the appropriate time. But while I got the mic, I've got several constituents who have been impacted by this, and so I want to thank you for carrying this bill. Interesting debate about the finance. I don't see, but because there's the fee to the test, and that cost is paid by the parent to the school, who then registers the student. Outside of that, I mean, the building's there, it's paid for. There's really no other fee or cost. And to your point, if I'm homeschooling, I'm paying thousands of dollars to the county, who is in turn not educating my child. So they're doing okay. It is just a common sense. I think it's great legislation. So I don't want to steal Representative Lumsden. Would you like to make a motion? As long as it's the same motion.
Okay, oh, wait, we got Representative Carter was blinking at me first here.
Well, I think I agree that the students should have access to their local schools if it's available and there's a seat available. I think where we're splitting hairs is the cost for the exam. Because I'm hearing you say there is a cost for the exam and the parents are paying it.
Yeah.
But then I hear you saying there's a cost, but the school is paying it.
Yeah,
So,
it depends on the school system.
yeah, so if you were open to a friendly amendment, it will only be that the parents would be responsible for the cost, like she just said, is $18. But I absolutely agree that the parents should be able to have access to a location closer to the home, especially if there's a seat available. So I don't know if you'd be open to a friendly amendment there, so we could get this out of here and we all be in agreement.
Thank you for that. And with all due respect, I disagree. I think that, if that fee is charged to all those students, then they need to pay it. If the school has internalized that, then and however they do that, if that fee, I think the homeschool parents should be treated the same. They're paying the same tax dollars that the enrolled students are. They're simply a net positive, actually, on that school system because the school, they're not utilizing those tax dollars, which is their choice. But I think, adding that burdensome on the homeschoolers, I think, would be inappropriate.
Okay, so just for my clarification, because we've talked a lot about this now, if there's a fee that's already assessed to the kids, then the homeschoolers pay it.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Okay. If there's not a fee, then there's just not a fee. Okay. So we've got it. Okay. Chairman
All right.
Hilton.
I'm going to make a motion to pass. And I have a second down here.
Representative Lupton, would you like to second?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I second that emotion.
I was waiting on you to say that one
Thank
day.
you.
Is that a motion?
Yes, that's what she said. Okay, any further discussion on this? We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor of Senate Bill 63FA, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. I think we're good. I think you pass. You are on to full.
Thank you, Madam
Thank
Chairwoman.
you.
Thank you, committee members.
Okay, and we are adjourned. Thank you so much. Policy will begin shortly.
Okay, it's good to know because it's hard.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to go ahead and get started. The Education Subcommittee on Policy. If you'd go ahead and grab a seat, a couple of housekeeping items. If you would like to speak to any of the bills that we have, there's a sign-up sheet on that table right there. As we always say, brevity is your friend in this committee, so we are grateful for that. As the chair always does in full committee, do we have any teachers or students in here? If you'd stand up and be recognized. Teachers, thank you, teachers. We love our teachers. Thank you guys for what you do. With that, Chairman Chokas, would you like to open us in prayer, please? Thank you. You are 15.
Good. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Let us pray. Dear Heavenly Father, please give us the wisdom and guidance that we need to carry out our duties here and to protect and enhance the lives of our children, our most precious asset in this state. We appreciate everything that you have given us and protected us and watched over us and watch over our families and the audience as well. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. With that, no one's approached me about time, so I'm going to go my House member first. Tanji, Representative Herring, if you would please make your way to the mic and present House Bill 333. And as you're walking up, I'm going to read you an LC number. We are working off of LC 492162.
Correct.
Mike is yours.
All right. Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman and distinguished members of the committee. Today I am here and honored to present House Bill 333, a straightforward and necessary measure to ensure that Georgia's teachers receive fair and consistent pay adjustments in the line of cost of living. As many of you know, before I joined this esteemed body, I was dedicated to teaching for over 2 decades as a classroom teacher. Throughout those years, I witnessed firsthand the immense passion, resilience, and sacrifices our teachers bring to the classroom every single day. I've seen colleagues forced to take second jobs, working late nights and weekends just to afford basic necessities for their families. And I've watched exceptional educators leave the profession, heartbroken, not because they don't have the passion for teaching, but because their salaries simply couldn't keep the pace with the cost of living and everyday expenses. House Bill 333 is here to seek and address the issues directly by mandating that our state's minimum salary schedule for teachers be updated annually in alignment with the Consumer Price Index and a comparable measure of inflation. This means that when prices rise, teachers' salaries will too, ensuring they won't lose purchasing power over time. It's a clear, transparent, and practical approach that shows our educators we value their vital contribution to Georgia's future. This legislation isn't just about financial fairness, it's about investing in our state's long-term success. Teachers shape not only our children's minds, but also the very foundation of Georgia's economy and community vitality. When we support our educators, we ensure that Georgia remains competitive, attracting and retaining the best teachers who inspire and educate the next generation of innovators, leaders, and skilled workers. As someone who has lived the life of an educator and now serves alongside of you, I am deeply committed to policies that uplift the teaching profession. House Bill 333 sends a clear message to educators across Georgia. We see you, we respect you, and we're here and committed to your success. I urge each and every one of you on this committee to support House Bill 333, ensuring Georgia's teachers receive the dignity, respect, and economic security that they rightfully deserve. Let's together affirm our commitment to our educators and Georgia's future. Today, I am honored to have with me Mr. Joe Fleming from GAE to speak on this bill, and Ms. Margaret, I don't want to mess up, Ciccarelli, sorry, please forgive me because I like for people to say my name right, from Page, and Ashley Young from GBPI. So we will start with Mr. Fleming in support of this bill. Thank you.
If you'd stay at the podium.
I will.
She's trying to get out of questions here. I like this.
No, I'm not.
Oh, I see the board lighting up now. This is great.
Oh, yeah, you were the first one to teach me how to put my card in, so I'm ready for you.
To my good friend, Representative, the beauty of being chair is you can ask your questions first. Couple questions.
Sure.
First off, we used deflation a couple times here. So does that mean teacher salary could actually decrease?
No, that does not. It does not mean that. So most systems do have a step pay for their teachers. So the teachers will continue to get their step pay. As inflation rises, we will also make sure that their pay increases. If there is a deflation, that means it will not diminish their step pay, but they will get whatever the inflation rate is then if it drops. So they will always get some type of bonus. It will not take away any of their step pay, but they will get an increase. When it's inflation, deflation, they will not lose any money. So if it's 2.7%, which it is now, deflation, if it drops to 1.7, whatever that index is at that time, that is the increase that they will get. And I have someone to speak on that as well.
All right, one other question. Thanks to the leadership of Governor Kemp and this body, we've increased teacher pay significantly over the past 4 or 5 years. I don't have the math in front of me, but I would think at a rate higher than inflation. How would that be treated if the legislature takes those sort of actions again? Does that impact this bill, or?
Well, I'm very appreciative of what the governor and this body has done, but moving forward in the future, I don't see anything in our budget right now that is going to help our teachers keep up with inflation. And so right now, the recent pay raises have been valuable in making up ground that was lost between 2010 and 2017 and are very much appreciated by educators. However, inflation has diminished that effect. If the base salary in 2009 had been adjusted for inflation, it would now be approximately $49,000 that teachers would be making at starting pay instead of $43,592.
Okay.
But I would like for Ashley Young to continue to talk about how we can move forward with this bill when it comes to the budget and finances.
Perfect. I'm going to go down to our colleague, Representative Allway first.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Rep, appreciate you bringing this bill, and thank you for your service.
Thank you.
As an educator, it is not an easy job, and so I appreciate what this bill represents in terms of signaling just the great importance that role and profession holds. I have one quick question and a comment. How often are salary schedules updated? I know Chairman mentioned the work that this body has done over the most recent legislative sessions to keep up with inflation and recognize the important work that educators do. But have there been any other across-the-board updates to the pay schedule that educators receive?
Well, as I stated before, between 2010 and 2017, we did not see any increases.
Yep.
And so that is why a bill like this is important. Yes, we did see increases from the governor, which, like I said, is very appreciative. Teachers were very happy with that, but we need something that's going to consistently make sure that we increase pay of teachers until we as a state decide what the base salary increase for a beginning teacher is going to be.
And what I love about this bill is that it bakes in those increases according to where we are as an economy. It would be no different from a workplace putting together its budget for the upcoming fiscal year, considering performance, but also considering inflationary pressures facing your workforce. And we know we can't wait to lift our heads up 5-10 years down the road and make up the difference. You're losing critical talent in the meantime, and to be losing talent as it regards to our most precious resource, our children, is something that deserves our attention. And so I appreciate what this bill is attempting to do, and hope that we're moving in the right direction to rectifying this issue.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chair.
I did not realize one of my blinking buttons was the chairman of the Education Committee, so I should have gone there first, Representative Lale, but Chairman Irwin with a question.
Yeah, the thing, you got my title right, so thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you for the attention to this item here, Representative. And
thank you.
Our pay scale for teachers, which you're very aware of, is on 2-year step raises.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me how this is going to impact. Would this impact each year, or would this impact only the step that the teacher is taking every 2 years up to 21?
So as I stated before, the step pay, it would not do anything to stop the increase in step pay, because that is a local issue. What I'm looking at is what our state is saying that the basic salary for beginning teachers is. And so when you're looking at the basic salary for a beginning teacher, it is far lower than a lot of the boarding states that are around us. So what this bill does, it looks at the beginning pay of a state teacher, the state pay for a first-year teacher, and we use the index for inflation to multiply that to get the increase in pay that each teacher would receive every year.
Okay.
So if inflation continues to go, the teachers will get, it's almost like a bonus for them, but it does not affect their step pay at all. For example, I taught in Atlanta Public Schools. Some systems, after 20 years, teachers don't get an increase in salary. So that's a big difference for them to be able to get something to go along with inflation.
Okay.
However, I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman.
Nope.
Did I answer your
I've
question?
got a follow-up question,
Okay.
but keep going. Didn't
I'm
mean
sorry.
to interrupt you.
No, go ahead.
Mr. Chairman, can I follow-up question? So we're not increasing the step raises. We're stopping at 21. And the increases generally that I recall are somewhere around $2,000 for each step that they're stepping up. And I'm sure some of the speakers can clarify that better for me. But what you're doing at the beginning salary then, and I'm just trying to wrap my mind around how that would impact step 10 years later. Even though that teacher was on step 10, if you're going to raise the beginning, how is that going to impact that 10th year teacher?
So even if the teacher is getting her step pay and she's at 10 years, she's still going to get an increase based on inflation. So it's not going to hurt any teacher. It's going to give a teacher more money in their wallet or purse. So we're not taking anything away from teachers. We're actually making sure that we give them something. When we have teachers who are working 2 and 3 jobs just to make it in this environment, there's a problem. When they can't go home and take care of their own children and families, but they're taking care of our children and making sure that our children are the next generation of workforce that we're looking for in the state of Georgia. So what I'm saying is this is not the final resolution. This is just a resolution to start the conversation about teacher pay. The goal is to make sure that one day, as a state, we will have a state salary that matches what the industries around us, since we're the best state to do business, reflects in our teachers' pay. So we're just starting here to make sure we move the needle to give teachers something to help them manage what they're going through when inflation is going up. That's what the bill is.
Follow up.
Please.
Thank you. Well, thank you, and thank you again for the attention to this matter. I
Yes,
think
sir.
are worthy to have a lot of attention taught to, especially in math. I'm good at a visual learner.
Me
so,
too.
I would welcome the opportunity for House Budget and Research to take a look and tell us kind of how this is going to impact the teachers down the line that are already in the steps pretty deep. Hopefully it all be very positive. I think it would be.
Thank you.
And then ultimately, I'm sure with any of this type of stuff, we'd need to look at the possibility of a fiscal study.
Yes,
or
sir.
something like this. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, and I'll highlight to the, those listening, those of the audience, based on some of the budgets we've passed over the last couple of years, Georgia teachers now have the highest pay in the Southeast. And so it's kudos to this body and where we place our priorities, which is our teachers. With that, I will go down to first row there, Chairman Jasper with a question.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You stole my thunder.
Okay.
Because I believe we have seen that happen, that we have, due to the dedication of the House, Senate, and the governor, made our teachers the highest paid in the Southeast. And I think that's something to be proud of. And I'm sorry I missed the first part of your, I was in public safety and coming over here. But, in this bill, I don't see this, as the chairman just said, upon appropriation, because that's going to be the key thing with this, because I've looked across the room, there were a couple of us here in 2010, and you brought out 2010, when we were just beginning to come out of a recession and we didn't have 6 nickels to rub together, and we still did what we were supposed to with teachers. And I think, doing something like this puts us in a position where we have to be able to be flexible, and this creates a very much inflexible situation. And because at that time, when I first came in 2010, I believe we had cut the budget 30-something%. And, everybody took a lick. And I'm just curious, do you see any other lines in our code where, in our payment of individuals, where we use CPI as a raise obtainer for any other employee in the state?
Not that I know of, and but I will definitely, we're going to have my research person come and talk to that point. But what I will say is I have never disagreed with what we have done for teachers. I was a teacher during that time when it was the recession, and I was very appreciative to what the state had done to make sure that teachers stayed afloat. What I'm talking about is where we are right now, and I understand that we all have different opinions about it, but this is starting the conversation. And what I want to do is to make sure that I give a voice as a teacher. I have not retired. I'm still a teacher. A voice to this subject and make sure that we're doing something for teachers until we figure out what we're going to have as a state salary.
Well, I think we figured out what we're going to have as a state salary.
Well,
that's where we're at right now.
I understand, and like I said, I do appreciate everything that this body has done to increase teacher pay. However, there's always room to grow and do better, and I think this is going to start the conversation about teacher pay and inflation.
And for your research folks, where you said, I'd love to see what we pay as a comparison to other states and what we've done over the past few years, how we've done. I think it might be a good revelation that how well the General Assembly and the governor have treated teachers in the past few years.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We're going to go to my left, one more question, and then we're going to take public comment. Representative Cox.
Thank you. Thanks for bringing this. Lines 17 and 18, you reference the minimum salary schedule be updated each year by December 1st. So at what point do you see the salary increase or CPI being determined so that it's appropriated? Is this the following December 1st of a year?
It's the following.
So if it's June of this year, it's not December of this year, it's the following December?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm not sure, unless I see it, I don't know that that reflects that type of date, because I think it's open-ended a little bit, because it says each year. So it's the following 16, 18 months out, I think, is what you're trying to say there?
Yes.
Now, when I'm reading line 20, as the chairman had mentioned, and the word deflation is there, there's an or statement, which clearly tells me that it would be either or, which tells me that deflation will be accounted for, at least in how this is written in line 20.
Yes.
Unless someone else can, am I reading that correctly?
You are, and we're going to speak to that.
Okay. That's all I've got for now.
Okay.
Thank you.
Perfect. All right. With that, we've got 3 folks signed up to speak. If y'all could, 1 to 2 to 3 minutes would be awesome. Margaret, you're up first. Then we've got Joe Fleming with GAE and Ashley Young.
Hey guys, I'm Margaret Ciccarelli from Page. Thank you so much for the opportunity to talk about this, and to Representative Herring for starting the conversation. We don't have the opportunity to talk about teacher compensation very much in here because it comes through appropriation, understandably. But I wanted to point you to a resource that might help answer a lot of y'all's questions. DOE has just released this awesome Teach in the Peach website for folks who are considering various pathways to become Georgia educators, whether that be through career change or through the military, through parapros, or folks who are thinking of enrolling in teacher preparation programs and other pathways. This links into the Southern Regional Education Board's teacher compensation dashboard, which is a fantastic tool to show how we stack up against other states in the Southeast. We are, along with North Carolina, a leader in teacher compensation, and it's not all that we compensate. The only compensation tool we use in Georgia, our teacher retirement system, is also top notch and is part of that total compensation package that we provide for our educators. And I'll brag on Georgia for a minute. We've never taken a pension holiday, even through those hard times that Chairman Jaspers mentioned, to fund our TRS system, which means that it's very strong and a position to provide that retirement benefit moving into the future for our retirees in Georgia. So we just wanted to thank Representative Herring for inviting us to this conversation. Moving forward, even if we don't pass this legislation in its current form, I'm glad that we are discussing teacher compensation. It might be part of a broader conversation about adding a step beyond step 20 for veteran educators on the salary schedule, or making student teaching in Georgia more affordable, which is something I think several members of the House and Senate are interested in. Paige looks forward to participating in these conversations and appreciates the representative and all of you for considering this important issue.
Perfect. Thank you, Margaret. Joe Fleming with GAE.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. We too also, I represent the Georgia Association of Educators, not only classroom teachers, but school bus drivers, cafeteria workers, school custodians, et cetera. We too want to recognize and acknowledge Governor Kemp and the General Assembly for the $9,500 pay raises that have been executed in the last several years. But the sponsor is correct. Inflation has eaten away considerably at that. According to our calculations, teachers are now making 5.3% less than they did 10 years ago. So a bill like this, the concept we think is very solid, but as Margaret pointed out rightly, it begs the whole question of teacher salaries. And I appreciate what you say, Mr. Chairman, and Mr. Jaspers, that Georgia's at the top in the Southeast in average salaries, but we're actually not at the top when it comes to starting teacher salaries. South Carolina's governor has introduced a proposal this year to increase their starting salary to $50,000. We're behind Mississippi, Florida, and other states in starting salaries, and that's another area that we can look at to see how we can improve, because we are losing intelligent college students to other professions because of compensation in part. Thank you.
Thank you. And for those keeping track at home, I went to that. It's teachinthepeach.org. That's a real nice site. So I'd encourage folks to go check that out. I was actually really impressed. Thank you, Margaret. And also for those listening at home, as of February 2025, inflation is 2.8% compared to 3.3% the month before and 3.15 last year. So trending in the right direction. Ashley Young, GPB.
Good afternoon, Chairman Hilton and Representative Herring, for this opportunity. Again, my name is Ashley Young, and I'm a Senior Education Policy Analyst at Georgia Budget and Policy Institute. I, too, am an educator, as I spent 7 years before assuming this position as a college counselor in Atlanta Public Schools, so this issue is near and dear to my heart as well. This is a very straightforward calculation, so as Rep. Herring mentioned, what the calculation would be in cost overall. I'm just going to give a quick, straightforward breakdown of what that is. The estimated total increase for HB 333 is $142,679,336 and 18 cents. I arrived at this figure by using the Consumer Price Index inflation rate from November 2023 to November 2024, considering that the bill states on line 17 through 18, quote, the code section would be updated every December 1st, and the Consumer Price Index inflation rate during that time was 2.7%. So I multiplied this by the Georgia teacher starting salary for the 24-25 year, which of course is $43,592, and found that the inflation increase totaled was $1,176.98. Finally, I multiplied that inflation increase of $1,176.98 by the number of teachers in Georgia, according to the National Center for Education Statistics, in the year 2022, and that was 121,301, which again totals the 142 million. In closing, I would like to add that the cost of living, as we know, has increased at a rate that even the pay increases, which again, as Rep. Herring said, teachers are very thankful for, but the buying power of the teacher base salary in thousands of dollars is less than it was 17 years ago. So essentially, if salaries kept pace with inflation, teachers paid at the base salary in 2024 would have made $7,900 more annually and $395 more per pay period. Georgia ranks 39th in the nation for average teacher starting salary and 20th for overall teacher salary. So I know there have been some comments about the teacher pay in the Southeast, but as Joe mentioned, and I'll just reiterate that here, that in comparison, Alabama is 23rd in the nation for starting teacher salary, South Carolina is 33rd, Florida is 16th, and Georgia, again, is 39th. Again, this is for the average teacher starting salary. Thank you so much for your time and consideration.
Thank you. Representative Herring, if you want to get back to the podium there. Since this is a House bill and we are post-crossover, this is sort of a hearing only today. I feel like we've flushed out a good number of issues. Do you have any closing comments or things you'd like to bring up?
I just want to thank you for the opportunity, and I want to express my gratefulness for the work that you all have already put into teacher pay, and I just think this is a great time to have a conversation and possibly get some legislation in order next year, our next term, to help teachers. Teachers are our future, our children are our future, and we want to make sure that we take care of our teachers and our families here in Georgia. So thank you so much for the opportunity, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Thank you to my friend and my former seatmate, Representative Herring. With that, the senator has been very patient with us here. Senator Wicks, if you'd make your way up to the podium and present to us Senate Bill 236. We are doing fantastic. I'm going to read your LC number for you here, LC 46119-0S.
That's correct.
All right.
So thank you, Mr. Chairman and committee members for allowing me to come before you. So, Senator Wicks, so this bill, Senate Bill 236, this bill will allow active duty military parents to relocate and enroll their students with the intentions of the school district to reside before officially residing in the area that they're going to begin. As a 30-year Army veteran, and I relocated several duty stations, I was deployed. I was in Germany. We relocated my family members back to Fort Hood, to North Carolina. And this bill right here would help me because I had a senior, I had a junior, and I had an elementary dependent. And this bill right here would help me out because I would be able to take my orders and enroll them in school versus being able to establish residency without a lease, without having proof of residency. I just use my orders instead.
Senator Wicks, first and foremost, thank you for your service.
Thank you for your support.
Are you new to the Senate?
I'm new to the Senate, but not new to the Capitol because I was Senator C's chief of staff before. So my predecessor, I was her chief of staff for 2 years.
You have Chairman Matt Brass as a sponsor on your bill. You're doing the right things. I'm impressed. Good job. Please send him a good word from the Education Committee.
Thank you.
To my right, a person who knows a good bit about our military and service, Representative Ballard with a question.
Thank you so much for bringing this bill. My husband is Air Force, and so we have also traveled. We live in Warner Robins, which is a base community. And for some of our folks who might not live in base towns, if I may, I might offer a little clarification of what this means for a base community. So when you move to a base, you might not be able to close on your house right when you get there, and you might have to live on base for a little while. For example, in Warner Robins, our Air Force base is in one school district. It's in the Warner Robins High School attendance zone. But our house where we live is in the Houston County High School attendance zone. So this would simply allow us, if you're having to stay on base for a little while you're doing your closing or getting your house or whatever, it will allow your child to go to that high school where they will be going, so that they don't have to be disrupted by moving that extra time in the school within the same county. That's your intent?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. I like this a lot.
And then also, if you have a junior or senior, it gives them the stability to stay in place versus uprooting them, because it gives them the resources to attain colleges or technical schools. So this allows them to stay in place versus uprooting them to make them transfer to another school.
Just we got some committee discussion here, but if you've got Representative Ballard on your side, that's always a good thing. I know that. Chairman, did you have it blinking again? Okay, Chairman Irwin, I think, snuck in there.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And Senator, thank you for this bill. Thank you for looking after our children, number one. Number two, also our military children here, which already are stressed in a lot of situations. I want to turn your attention, if you would, to line 25.
Okay.
You put on there, such residency to the local school system at the conclusion of the current school year. Remember, for a lot of children, the conclusion of the school year isn't necessarily in that school a whole year.
Correct.
So they can move at Christmas, after spring break, stuff like that. It seems to me to be better to put a timeline on that after 60 days, after 90 days, or something of that fashion, rather than just the conclusion of the school year. Not that you need to do that right this minute, but what I would do is ask you for consideration on that, is to clarify that so it wouldn't be problematic down the line for some of the families trying to enroll their children in school.
Yes, sir.
Consider that.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Any other questions from the committee? All right, I'm not seeing my board light up here. I'm contemplating a question, but I haven't formed it in my head yet. I was thinking about high school sports and things like that, and making sure we don't have any families playing shenanigans there. The person to my left may have. Chairman Irwin, did you have a? Yeah.
So let me, if I could, Mr. Chairman, again, Senator, was there any collaboration, and you triggered a thought, Chairman? We have recruiting rules in the state of Georgia for Georgia high school, where children, you can't let one system, can't allow them to recruit the best athlete out of another system. Has there been any discussion, because I could see bad players, sending their kid to an area but not really moving to that area, that they wanted a kid to play on a better football team, better baseball team, better basketball. Am I making sense to you?
Yeah, I do understand that in reference to the recruitment standpoint.
Maybe just a conversation is what I'm asking, so that there could be some heads up for these students with Georgia High School Association to ensure that they had the policies that could deal with it in a case. You could imagine if you had the #1 athlete in the country and he was with a military child and he moved around quite a bit, but the parent did not. He was moving from sports, so they would need to adjust. So let me just friendly ask that you speak to Georgia High School Association and see if they could adjust that somehow.
And Senator, I'm either going to give you a lifeline or I'm going to give you hopefully it helps you. I'm going to go to my left here, Representative Cox, who probably knows more about high school sports than a lot of us here. Representative Cox with a question.
Yeah, thanks for bringing this. And so I know that Georgia High School, GHSA, or other athletic associations have their transfer rules and things that they already abide by, which would be different than what I believe we're talking about here. But one of the questions I have, and Chairman, it's not like we've seen any shenanigans ever in Georgia high school sports. Not that that would happen. So we passed the school choice bill last year, and it also had the piece in there that was local to local, which I think we already can do. And I know that there's a local fee associated to that. And I'm asking you, as well as maybe all of us here, is there a provision that really already takes care of everything in this through that local to local that we passed last year? That's my question. Because I know you can transfer from public school to public school. If someone else can maybe speak to that.
Well, when I was speaking to the representative from Robbins Air Force Base, she stated to me no, because when, especially when dealing with DODs, that they do need their lease or proof of residency. So that's the reason why this bill was created, so they can use their orders to register their children versus using a lease to register their kids in school.
Okay, so could maybe can I ask another?
Yeah.
Is there a way maybe to get legislative council's perspective on this? Maybe.
Sure.
I have to do a little bit of research. I'm not exactly sure what you're referring to, what you're saying.
Hold on, let me.
Okay. Okay, we'll come back to that. Thanks.
Thank you. Seeing it looks like we've exhausted all the questions. Now would be the appropriate time. I'm seeing number 17, Representative Ballard.
I make a motion to pass.
Second. A second? Okay. Any discussion on the motion? We got some discussion. All right. Chairman Chokas to my right.
I served on a study committee to protect our military bases, 8 or 10 years ago, and former Representative Dave Belton championed a bill in the House allowing school choice for military families. Did that pass? And how is this bill different from that? That's my question.
So this bill, there was some language in that bill that needed to be changed, and that was the reason why this bill was created. So that is correct. Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Down to my front here, Chairman Jasper with a question.
Yeah, just Chairman Chokus, it did, and you see that language that's in the original here. The Belton's language is here, and this is just creating more flexibility.
Yes.
I think is the easiest way. I'd just say the caveat that this bill moves forward, that the senator takes the chairman's advice and creates a sub that looks at the two issues that he talked about before this comes before full committee.
Okay.
Yep. Very good advice. And I think he was Chairman Belton. Chairman Belton, if you're watching, we're thinking about you today. He's probably on a beach somewhere, on an airplane. He's probably flying somewhere. All right, we've got a motion and a second. What is the will of the committee? All in favor of the passage to full, say aye. Any opposed? Like sign. All right, it passes. And then, yeah, if you could connect with some of those, and maybe we can make some amendments prior to full.
Yes, and then the Veterans Commissioner is over in the Veterans, and I would talk to her about it, and also get with the superintendent in Robbins Air Force Base and get with her too.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful.
Thank you so much.
All right, thank you. We've got one more bill on the agenda. I'm going to move to the podium and have my vice chair fill in here, and we are going to breeze through this.
Okay, Chairman Hilton, thank you, and it's House Bill 505, LC number 610099.
Perfect. Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. I'm going to keep my comments brief because I know we're late in the afternoon here. This bill is really working off of a House bill that we saw earlier this year that was actually passed out of the House, I think 155-1. That was House Bill 192, carried by Matthew Gamble. And that is really building on the governor's work of kind of creating a career readiness, career pipeline, starting as early as in our high school. And so really it takes us to the broader question of why we educate our students, and we want them to have a fulfilling, lifelong job one day. And it's identifying earlier in that process of matching what are the students' aptitudes, what are they good about, what are they passionate about, with what are our career needs in the private sector. And so Governor Kemp has led the way, not only through the Georgia Match program that we have now, matching high school seniors with colleges that they'd like to attend, but really getting into the high school level and starting to identify early on, again, what are some of those aptitudes. And so that's what Floor Leader Gamble's bill did. This kind of expounds on this more to lay out how do we actually put that in place, what does that look like. And so really the meat of the bill, if you turn with me, is on page 7, lines 150, beginning on line 156, and that is encouraging the Department of Education to develop an electronic platform so that really making it easy for the parent, the student, the teacher to all kind of have one portal that they can view the student can update their extracurriculars in, create a resume, and really begin to kind of flush out who they are and what they want to do long term from a career perspective. It also updates along the way, really changing it from a graduation plan to a career development plan. Again, kind of mind forward to post-graduation and what life looks like there. So I will yield for questions, but I know we've got some experts to come up behind me.
Okay, you have a question? Number 16, Chairman Irwin.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And Chairman, thank you for this bill and attention to this bill. Let's go to the lines that you have here. You discussed line 156. You used the word just a minute ago, encouraged the DOE. I see the word shall.
Yeah, and one change that I would suggest to the committee, and I know this is a hearing only because we've got a House bill after crossover here. I think we ought to put in language here that says subject to appropriation to really kind of make all of this contingent on is because, again, I don't want to hamstring DOE with something. This is something in talking with DOE that they have sounds like an appetite for. This is something that may go down the route themselves. But yes, happy to look at the shall and also insert subject to appropriation as well.
Follow up, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
And I'm not against the shall by any means.
Yeah.
I enjoyed your camouflage with the word encourage. So thank you very much.
Good politician,
Mr.
Madam Chair.
Chairman.
Yep, thank you. I got it.
Okay. Okay, number 6, we'll
Board's
go to the
lighting up
next
now.
question.
Yeah, next question.
It was a hell of a comeback, Chairman. Chairman Hilton, thank you for the bill. Quick question. Are there any other state Department of Educations that provide a similar or like platform?
There are, yeah. There's several out there. And in fact, one of the folks, Saxon Phillips, who's going to come up and talk, he is from a company that helps do these. And so they've done them in a handful of states. I believe North Carolina is the one they're going to share about and share some of the success that they've had there. I know as I was a student coming along, the idea was just you graduate college or high school and you go to a college. And there was no sort of forethought to what do I want to do with my life long term? And so I think it's so important and then creating a online presence of some sort where I can have a profile on a student. We talk about all this school safety, and that's fantastic. But let's have a profile around their career and what they want to do long term.
One quick follow-up, Chairman.
Sure.
Cost. I love the language subject to appropriations, but any estimate around the cost that it would take to build it, to maintain it, general education around the existence and usage of the platform?
I hate to defer, but the gentleman coming up after me will be able to shed light on that. Yep.
Thank you.
Yep.
Okay, number 11, Representative Pierce.
Thank you. Chairman Hilton, I commend you for this bill because it seems to take us in a forward motion of updating some of the things that we have overlooked previously. I think making sure that we are giving children a choice, that college just isn't for everybody. And also I really like the way that they're making it inclusive for the electronic platform, which shall be available for use by school personnel, students, and parents. So I think that's really great, and looking forward to seeing how this develops. Yeah. Of course, whatever the fiscal is on it, we, as our only constitutional duty, providing a balanced budget.
It's passing a budget and getting out of here.
And
Amen.
So that's always important when we're bringing bills before committee.
Well, I thank you for your kind words, and I thank you we've worked very closely alongside the governor's office on this. I know this is an area of focus for them, and so we are certainly working hand in glove to make sure this kind of fits with their vision. And you're right, I just think where we're moving on education in terms of literacy, school safety, and now career readiness, it's all good things for our students.
Okay, Chairman, you had mentioned that you have, and right now there's no other questions, but you had people to speak to this, but we don't have any names, so if you can call up who you were referring to, that'd be great.
Mr. Phillips here can speak to it, if you come on up.
Mr. Phillips, if you'll just state who you are, where you're from, and let us know, that'd be great.
Of
Thank
course.
you.
Firstly, I would address the elephant in the room. My accent is from Australia, so it is another southern accent. But my name's Saxon Phipps. I'm the co-founder and co-CEO of Year 13. We're a digital platform which has been in operation for over 14 years. We're used by over 28 million students and teachers over the past 14 years. I'm on the board of the National Careers Institute for the federal government, the Australian federal government. Multiple state governments already use our platform, and it is available through the Microsoft Education Network. Pardon me. Thank you, Chairman and Committee, for hearing me this afternoon. As mentioned, we've been involved in this industry for over 14 years. As mentioned, we've put forward our Bill 505, a digital platform which should be available to students, parents and teachers, which really personalises the career education experience for students. We have done this countless times across Australia, and obviously now working in the United States. We have channel partners through the communities and schools, and working in North Carolina and North Carolina government, as they had a similar bill, Bill 193, which was all about the development of career development plans. Currently in Georgia, the average career advisor is managing 411 students to the one career advisor. About 36 minutes of the year is spent delivering effective career education strategies. So by personalising an experience for a student, this is where you look at intrinsic motivations, skill development, educational pathways, supporting the governor's bill around in-demand careers and the future of workforce. This is where you're able to use labour market data to then be able to empower a student to understand that when they're making subject selections, what that means towards their future educational pathways and all the way through to employment. So it is known as an effective career education strategy. Our bill obviously is in support of what the governor is putting forward with the in-demand workforce careers. So I'd like to be able to propose that if our bill would be successful, it will be readdressed for the next session. We have demos available. And as mentioned, this is all available through the Microsoft Education Network. So platform fatigue and teacher onboarding and the integrations are very, very simple for us. Thank you, committee, and thank you, Chair, for hearing me today. Happy to hear any questions.
I just have a question about the cost. How much does it cost?
If you can use.
Sorry, Chairman. Thank you for the presentation. I just have a question on cost. How much is it going to cost to get it set up, to maintain it, to get information into the hands of educators and school leaders to help students actually use it?
Yep. So it's modeled out at $8.50 per student. So we have that's the per student model for in terms of deployment and integration with schools. It's about $200,000 for us to be able to deploy that through Microsoft.
Per school?
No, for the state.
For the state. Okay. Quick second question.
How much per student? I didn't fully hear that.
$8.50 per student per year.
$8.50 per student per year.
Correct.
Okay, and then the 200,000 was what
Just
number?
Implementation.
Plus a 200,000 capital cost for implementation?
And deployment, correct.
And deployment for the Department of Education?
Correct.
But not in the school itself?
No, it'll be available through the Microsoft network, which is already deployed through a lot of schools in Georgia.
Okay, go ahead, Representative.
Are there alternative systems outside of your own? I don't know your platform. I'm sure it's a great platform. I'm always uneasy when we have a general bill being brought forth by a company, which clearly has self-interested, objectives and goals. But could you give us some information on just the landscape of other alternative platforms that are available?
Yep, there's plenty of workforce development platforms available. They really focus on the work streams for a advisor or for a teacher. Our platform is specifically developed for the student engagement, so it actually supports those workflows for the advisor. There's several which are kind of available. Do you want me to go into detail with them now, or is it?
If you have a few that you could reference, that would be helpful.
There's Zello, there's Major Clarity, there's even through Google. Google have a career class and career corner. So there are different options available, absolutely, but yeah, ours is significantly different.
Thank you.
No problem.
Okay, thank you. Chairman Irwin, number 16.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And just a quick question, what grade does your platform start with?
Grade 8.
8. Okay, thank you.
Okay, I have two questions. Who will be managing and controlling the database?
Sorry, say that again, sorry?
Who will have access, managing and controlling the database?
Just the state. It doesn't go there. So all data that goes through it is de-identified as well. So you can't pull up an individual student's record, but it is all stored locally and through the department.
Okay, and then when y'all have utilized your system as a third party going into it, What has been the worst cyber attack you've seen on the data as y'all have deployed it thus
We're
far?
very fortunate to have not had a cyber attack over 14 years.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Okay. No other questions for you?
Cool. Thank you very much.
Wait, we have one more. Hold on. Just popped up. Chairman Cox.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. In the way you've created this platform and in assisting students to discover the career that they think would be most beneficial to them, something that they're passionate about and something that is profitable for them, didn't you take into consideration other factors besides their curriculum in the school? Could you kind of explain that a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. So what we do is we contextualize extracurricular activity. So if a student has done, completed, they're playing junior league football and they have an interest in cooking, what we do, or they're a Boy Scout, that's a better option. What that does is actually contextualize the skills to a framework, so it validates them to say that, well, by playing football, you are a team, you like working in a team and you like being a part of a community, so it's not taking away from the skill. And then by being a Boy Scout, you're participating in community engagement, you actually like being outdoors, so it actually allows the student, it encourages the student participation in additional extracurricular activity, so that the career education isn't exclusive to just transcript data and educational attainment.
Okay.
I'm sorry I walked in late. If you already said it, please don't repeat it. I can go back on tape. Is this a big difference in U Science?
In what, sorry?
Than U Science?
U Science? I'm not familiar with them, so unfortunately.
Yeah, it's something a lot of schools use right now that's really in depth, and it's worked really well.
Okay.
So, okay.
No problem.
Okay, no other questions?
I'll close it out. Yeah. And Representative Townsend and Lale, you guys touched on it. Anytime I see a bill like this, my first question is, all right, how many other folks do this? And through my research, it's at least, a handful, half a dozen, maybe more. So we won't hamstring DOE to a certain one particular system, which I like. But yeah, there are no new philosophy factories opening in Georgia. And so we've got to, really reach down and help teach our kids what's out there and what matches their aptitudes and what they're passionate about. So appreciate y'all hearing this bill and look forward to continuing to work this through the process.
Yeah, thank you for bringing it.
Yeah.
That's it, right?
With that, I adjourn the meeting.
Oh, yeah, the meeting is adjourned. Thanks, y'all. I adjourn the meeting. All right.